Hey everyone, and welcome to this new Marvel Rivals video. I'm actually so excited to be joined today by Chaos Pro, a Grandmaster player in Marvel Rivals and a host of a podcast, the Marvel Rivals Podcast. I'm still in shock that you guys got that name, but you do. You got it. A fantastic show. I'm going to be linking it down below. You guys got to check it out. We'll also be linking Chaos Pro's stream. Fantastic gamer altogether, whether it's card games, whether it's third-person shooters, hero shooters, whatever it is, man, you tend to dominate. How are you today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm really actually super excited to be on. I'm actually a longtime viewer myself. You're actually one of the main reasons why I even got into content creating, believe it or not.
No way, that's incredible. Like it's because we started in Marvel Snap, right? That's kind of where we had our first introduction to one another.
Yeah, that was like my first. It's weird because I used to do a lot of shooters beforehand and fighting games, and then never really blew up from there. And then I just surprisingly got into Marvel Snap, and I watched you and Cozy a lot on your podcast. I actually been watching you since you had like 3,000 subscribers. So congrats on the 100,000, by the way.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So yeah, on the main channel, we recently crossed 100,000 subs, which is incredible. And today, though, we're not talking about Marvel Snap because I'm here to kind of get into your expertise about Marvel Rivals. And we're talking about the strategists of Marvel Rivals. We're going to be ranking the strategists. And I mean, you would know this. I exclusively play strategists. It's the only role I play. I like it. I've been a healer. Well, I mean, strategists are more than healers, let's be honest. But I've been a healer or some sort of healer archetype in almost every single game I've ever played. You can go all the way back to World of Warcraft. When it was raid time, I was a healer. That's what I did, whether it was a druid or a priest or whatever it was. I kept green bars up. That's what I did. Right. When I see a green bar going down, I top it off. That's exactly what I like to do in my games. And so it makes perfect sense that in Overwatch, I basically only played Mercy, right? Just love Mercy. And, and in this game here, it is all about the strategist. And what's crazy about it is there's such a variety of strategists. And I feel like, here's a hot take, and honestly, Chaos, I don't know if you agree or not. I hope you do, but I feel that people that really want to rank up, they often focus on the DPS class. They want to be the one that's taking guys down. They want to be the ones knocking people out. I think that low-key, the strategist role carries games, and I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah. I can heavily attest to this, actually. I was just telling my friend today he can't get out of gold. He's trying to get to plat. And I'm like, who do you use? He's like, I use Scarlet Witch. I'm like, just drop it. And he goes, really? I go, dude, honestly, just go play a tank or go play a strategist. And he goes, why? I go, because your role is like the most wanted role. Like, if you can just be really good at being a strategist, honestly, or even just so much as like one tank, you bring more value to your team than a bunch of other random people do on the other team. So yeah, I'd hard agree.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people have this perception that strategists are purely healers, and that's not the case at all. I got a lot of games where I'm playing Mantis and I'm literally out DPSing some of my DPS characters, right? It's kind of wild what these characters are capable of, and they have very unique skills that can sincerely change the direction of an entire game, winning and losing. Yeah. So let's get right into the meat and the potatoes of the conversation here. We're going to be ranking each one of these. Now, we are going to rank them from the bottom down. Okay. So the top three here, which you see, this is just a preliminary kind of, we just set it up, right? This is not the actual ranked order here, but I'll give you a quick kind of indication of what the, what's at stake here, right? We got the gold medal at the top, the silver, the bronze, and then the runners up at the bottom. So let's get started with who you think is probably the weakest strategist in Marvel Rivals right now.
Currently, before we talk about who's the weakest and the strongest, there is one thing that I want to bring real quick that you actually spoke about. You said that there are strategists or healers there's more to them. And you were actually correct. There's actually a role to strategists. There's a main, what I call is the main strategist, and then there's a sub support. Some of these are actually sub supports. So they bring a good value, but not in a sense. So you are correct on that. In terms of like the weakest at the moment, I'm kind of divided between these two, and it's only for one reason. I genuinely think Loki is probably the weakest. It's not that he's bad. He is just super extremely hard to play. He honestly brings a lot to the table, but he's a skill check character. He's genuinely, I seriously mean this. He is the character that the sky is the ceiling. The ceiling is like the sky's the limit kind of thing. But it really comes down to you. If you are new to strategists, he's going to be like the hardest thing for you. He's too much on your plate, and you're not going to know how to position his statues. He's just, in general, I think he's the hardest to play, the hardest to use. And if that's too much for you, he's just not a character for you. I think he is the weakest in that sense.
Ironically, I tend to agree. Loki is the one strategist that I tend not to play. Now, I have played him, and I'm just like, man, this ain't for me. And it's funny because very recently, Cozy got to Grandmaster. Cozy Rivals got to Grandmaster playing Loki almost exclusively through that climb. And he's like, you know what, this might be one of the most slept on heroes. So it'd be funny to hear his comment on these thoughts here, because I actually tend to agree. I would put Loki near the bottom, but I guess we got to see what Cozy has to say about it.
So disclaimer though, I don't think, I do think he is the worst for a new player, but like I said earlier, he's like a skill check, like in the right hands. And I think it's going to take someone like a special mind to make that character great. He has the tools to be amazing. But the only reason why I'd say he's just not as good isn't that his tools aren't great. It's just he's overshined by the other people that are in front of him. He has honestly a copycat, ultimate. He can honestly recast the same great ults as other heroes. But at the same time, if you're a strategist main and you don't know how to play the other heroes that you're copying, it is kind of lackluster. You can be doing things completely wrong. If you're going to play Loki, you have to play the entire cast in order to really understand what he's trying to apply. And that's really more on a you thing. So in terms of what he has the biggest workload of any character in the game, just because you have to know everything.
That's fair. Absolutely fair. And I guess over time, as players get more competent with the game, they get more comfortable with the support role, or the strategist role, I should say, then perhaps Loki drifts up on these charts. You made it easy for me. I actually put him at the bottom. That is unintentional. He's actually in last place, so we don't even have to move him. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
I don't think he needs buffs or nerfs, though. I think he's actually fantastic for what he does. It just takes time in terms of learning.
And I think there's something to be said, though. Like, I feel like in the duelist class, I think there's clear winners and losers, and that's a different conversation for another day. But in the strategist role, I feel like all of them have like an exceptional role to play in the game. And so you said you were stuck between two others for that last place slot. So Loki is going to remain at the last spot. I actually agree with you 100%. So who was that next one that you felt was the next runner up?
It's gonna be Jeff. It's gonna be a hard Jeff. I think Jeff supplies great heals. And here's actually a tip that most people don't know about him. His bubbles are actually a super good way of like doing burst heals to people. So for instance, like if a tank's like on the verge of death, you can actually just run up and just hold the bubble button and put all of the bubbles on him and on the tank or whoever is going to, go out. And not only are they going to get speed boost, but it's actually going to put them right back to full health. You can use it as like a last resort. The thing is his heal output's great. He's just super fragile. He gets really hard countered, and he doesn't have a whole lot of issues, or he doesn't have solutions other than running away from most of the things. His damage output's great, but the problem is that he doesn't really have a solution other than that he's fragile. Like his output's great. He's just at higher level. He just doesn't perform. Other sort of strategists have way better tools.
I find that, so when Marvel Rivals first came out, I loved Jeff. I love Jeff a lot. I read his comics. I play him in Snap. I wanted to be a Jeff guy. And the more in the beta and in the pre-release that like I was kind of investigating Jeff, playing Jeff, experiencing Jeff, I was like, I don't think he's that good. And I started to kind of come to terms with that. And I feel like his ultimate, especially with the drop-offs and the maps and stuff, as you learn the maps, you're able to very effectively ultimate. I think a lot of people fixate on that ultimate. However, his healing output does feel far lower than the potential that others have, and while also being a little more difficult to target. Those bubbles have like a lead time. You have to get very used to throwing. It's almost like a shot put ball. You almost got to throw around, right? And I feel like the ammo of his primary heal is limited in a sense where like, if you can line up your allies in just the right way, you get like this massive dose of healing. But otherwise, his healing can feel a little lackluster as well. And so I absolutely do agree that while he can put up decent numbers, These other strategists, I think they're just all around stronger. And I feel like they do a lot. Like if you're Jeff with a Luna Snow and all of a sudden his right click becomes a little more viable, that's cool too. Like I've seen that work. But generally speaking, I don't feel like he has the damage output nor the outright healing output that some of the others have.
Yeah, funny enough, actually, if you have really, really good aim, Jeff can feel like amazing when it comes to heals. It's just he's like a glass cannon. Like his output for heals is insanely burstful. Like you can if you have better. It's just funny. If you have better aim than the enemy DPS, you can have a race to see who's gonna fill up the health or take down the health of whoever that person's getting hit by. But like he's just fragile, and his ult is starting to become more and more clear on how to counter. There's a lot of characters that surprisingly have answers to it. Like you can, anticipate it. Like you can even so much as use this Punisher to like use your smoke grenade to push yourself out of it. Star-Lord can use invincibility frames to get out of it. There's more answers to it. You can freeze him. Moon Knight can stop him. There's a lot of ways of stopping it, and then at the same time, Flyers can just kind of get out of it. So his ultimate is good. It's just it's also like it's a double-edged sword. Like you either have to take yourself off the map with Flyers and KO yourself, or it is starting to become more counterable, as people tend to find.
I agree absolutely. And so far we're on the same page here. But it's interesting because it's going to only get harder. So I'm going to have to push you on what the next strategist from the bottom is going to be. This is going to be rank 5.
Okay. So this one's a tie, and there's only one reason why one, and I'll tell you, you're going to be shocked by this.
Well, thankfully you have someone who could potentially break the tie for you.
A lot of people like this. My list it's not just me, because I actually talk to the number 1 team a lot, NTMR, and I also pick their brains all the time, and I see where they're coming from and as to why they think. But in general, Cloak and Dagger is going to be the next one up, and this is going to be like a lot of people are going to think that this is like, wait, are you serious? And and it kind of follows into the next 4, like as like to why. Cloak and Dagger, surprisingly, at higher level is pretty mid. You have to play the character perfectly to get the actual full amount out of the hero. Now, their heals are great. You have your heal wall that allows you to boost your heals for you and your healer, and it's great. The bubble, in terms of staying in that bubble, is pretty good. The ultimate is not bad because it does stack. The thing is that you also have Mantis and Luna that have that similar ult, but it's mobile, and you're able to do the same purpose while being able to be in them. So they really overshine Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger in general, also Cloak's abilities, you have to preemptively, like I said, you have to play perfect. You have to move and preemptively know what the enemy's going to be doing for you to get like the switch off, and then use like Cloak's like phase abilities and stuff like that. So preemptively, like I said, you have to play perfect, and if you don't, it ends up being pretty lackluster.
I actually agree 100%. I'm in shock that we're on the same page precisely here. And what's interesting as well is that like I actually like Cloak and Dagger a lot. I feel like it actually has a decent amount of damage output. The versatility is awesome. When I play Cloak and Dagger, I like the idea of managing the cooldowns on either side, because you can flip, do some cooldowns, flip back, do some cooldowns, right? In lower MMRs, you almost got to yell at people like, "Hey, get in the bubble. Stay in the bubble.
Right.
The bubble is going to save
in the bubble
your life,
is a thing,"
right?
And it does. Yeah. It does. The thing is, though, is that the other these 3 that we've kind of ranked so far, one of the big things to take away as well is that their team ups just also aren't that relevant, and that's a huge also indicator as to like why the other 4 are kind of above them. Team ups is a major factor as to playing the strategist just as much, because when you get into the higher levels, playing in Grandmaster and Eternity ranks, like it's absolutely necessary to have, just because it's another advantage to have on your team.
Oh, there's no question. And like, you take a 15% heal boost when you can, like those things add up, right? Like very fast. Right. And you're right to identify that like the team ups can make a huge difference. Cause like, imagine if like an individual character got like those buffs as just part of their kit. right?
Right.
And so like oftentimes like I will switch my support or my strategist depending on what my team composition is. If I think that, hey, this team up that they like, someone snap picked a DPS that I can actually team up with, I'm like, I'm taking that. We got to take that value, right?
Yeah. And the thing is also Cloak and Dagger, like I said earlier, they kind of fall under that sub support role where it's like their actual role is to fill in for main support. So main supports is like they really give up really big heals. They do really well at that. Their job is to mainly give, I would say, 80 to 90% of those heals for most of their kit. They actually provide that other half where they fill in the gap when those players need their cooldowns and stuff like that. And like I said, you have to play perfectly. You have to be, there's so much to think about with the character Cloak and Dagger, similar to Loki. You just have to be playing perfect, and if you can't, and that's not going to be a realistic thing. It just, they kind of fall off.
Yeah, and there's also a note to say that it's a pretty good controller hero if you're playing on an Xbox or something like that, right? Like a lot of very friendly auto aim, stuff like that. So yeah, so far we are just right lock in step. Now you said that number 4 was a little tighter to number 5 than you expected, almost a tie you suggested.
Yeah.
So let's see what you got to say about number 4.
It's actually Rocket. Rocket is the next one up. I think is only better than Cloak for one purpose, and this is like pretty interesting. Rocket is like the only clear advantage he has is the Punisher team up, and without that, he's just the revive is nice. It is, but like good players are gonna see if they know you're fighting a Rocket. A good player, the first thing that a good player is gonna do, especially with like the way this game is right now, like Psylocke is just a menace, getting behind enemy lines. Her job is like just right off the rip, like just execute the respawn beacon. You have Spider-Man's. I mean, you have so many things that are just constantly going for flanks and trying to create space. His kit is great. It's just his ultimate doesn't really. I don't really see it on the field as a really accessible, like you just. It's crazy to say this, but his ultimate, you just don't even feel like it's really there. I don't know why or what it is, but you kind of like Mantis above him already, like. She can do that throughout her entire game. She can just damage boost people. Luna can damage boost people with their ultimates and her, Mantis's kit. His ultimate just kind of feels like it's, I don't know. I think he should get something or some kind of heal aspect. His healing orbs kind of got nerfed a while back, and they're slow. They don't really feel like they're really considered, he doesn't even feel like he's a main support or a sub support. He's just kind of, I feel like you're really only there for Punisher, and it's kind of sad right now.
I actually really like Rocket, and I'm also kind of disappointed because I was expecting to disagree more. Damn it, you are lock in step with exactly how I was going to rank this thing. So, but yeah, I actually love Rocket. I love playing Rocket. I like the mobility element that he has. I think it's fantastic because, we're getting a lot. Listen, Marvel Rivals is all about diving the strategies.
Right.
Like we're getting a lot of diving happening, and being able to kind of counteract that, I think, is important. I think that the damage output from close range on Rocket is second to none from the strategist perspective, right? Mantis has no damage drop off. Rocket has insane damage drop off, and his projectile is ridiculously slow. But if someone's right up in your face, you can absolutely shred them to pieces. You know what I mean?
Did you know that he actually has faster DPS than Punisher?
I didn't realize that from close range, essentially.
He at close range actually can actually damage faster and more efficiently than Punisher at face-to-face range against their machine guns. Rocket, I love Rocket too. I think his mobility is great, but there is a reason why I think that the other 3 above him serve a better purpose than his mobility, and I'll explain that in the next part.
Yeah, I think that he's really good at sustained healing. He has no burst healing, right? And you're right. His ultimate, while is significant, I believe it's a 40% damage boost, whereas with Mantis is going to be 12%. You don't feel it the same way. I'm not going to say it's more of a win more thing, but I feel like, and we'll discuss Luna Snow and Mantis when we get there. But those ultimates, they have also like significant counterplay to major meta DPSs. Like when Psylocke ults, you hit your ult as a Mantis or Luna Snow. With Rocket, you hit your ult and just die. Your whole team just explodes. You know what I mean? So it's like, it is a very different thing. And maybe, I think you're right. When they nerfed his healing orbs, he felt much less capable of being like the solo healer on the team. Because
he was amazing.
It's all sustained, but like it's very little burst.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I do hope that they kind of give him his healing output again. Like I thought he was great. He was, in my opinion, I always told people like, oh, if you really want to learn strategists, Rocket's the person. Like you can go into matches. Most people that want to learn how to play strategists, he's great, because most people that also want to play the game usually pick up Punisher. So it's kind of like great because you and a friend can learn this game with those two heroes and do really well because they work so well together. Rocket is very forgiving on how he heals. It's just right now in the current way it's played, if you see a Rocket, it almost feels like it's almost saying to me like you don't play a strategist, you're just playing Rocket. And it sucks because I genuinely think he's fun. I think he's great, and I just hope that they kind of give him some buffs.
Yeah, now what's interesting about the team up is that he only gets a 5% boost with the Groot.
Right.
But the Groot gets like a significant health bonus, no?
Yeah. He gets I think 100 or 150.
150. It's 150, right? So in that case, is it better if you have a Groot on your team to give him that extra 150? Switch off of one of the top 3 we're going to talk about and play Rocket, give him what the situation is with his healing output.
Yeah. Groot's in a weird spot right now. Groot's not bad. It's just there's so much dive that most people don't really care about Groot's game plan.
Yeah, as a strategist main, I will tell you, Groot is annoying because he blocks line of sight.
He is.
He destroys line of sight, and that is something that I think is underappreciated because Groot is so damn good at making it so that you cannot access the people you need to heal. And then when you go to access them, you yourself are out of position. You're on the wrong side of a wall. I think that Groot might be a little underappreciated, but sir, once again, that is a conversation for another day. Now we're into the top 3. Now we're actually going to move them down a little bit. We've got to keep a little bit of suspense here for the medals.
Okay.
All right. We got to start with number 3. Now, so far we are lock in step. Now this has got to be difficult. This has to be difficult. I know who my number 1 is. I know who my number 2 is, but I'm interested in hearing how we're going to start with your number 3.
So I'm actually going to say Luna Snow is number 3.
Okay. Luna Snow coming in at number 3.
There's a reason. There's a pretty solid reason. Do you want me to say it now?
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to say that I would have taken Luna Snow at number 2. I like Luna Snow a lot. I would have played Adam Warlock at 3.
Yeah, there's a solid reason why. I don't get me wrong. Like these are like dead close. These are dead close. Like margins as to why. Like it's not like this character is just so much better. Like these are very close calls. The thing is Luna as a whole. One like I would say a tick off the off like, you know, why she's not is she doesn't have any team ups. She doesn't have any team ups with the other two or anyone in general that's really helpful. I mean, her team up with Jeff is like, it's not really noticeable.
Yeah, no more.
Namor is only really played when you ban Hela and Hawkeye. And you know that's the only time you really see him, other than a couple of other cases. At higher levels, he just has a hard time getting started because good players know how to destroy items, and when you destroy his turrets, he's kind of not as strong. So she doesn't really get to get her use of team up all that often. She is a main healer, and she has great heal factors. The reason why I actually rank her above Rocket is because she has a freeze ability. And you kind of have to think of it like you either go for mobility or you go for utility. And truthfully, the freeze option is, I think, 10 times more useful. If you're more of a confident player and you're able to stand your ground, freezing someone is so much more beneficial than just running out and looking for help. Because her being able to defend herself with her freeze is insane value. I mean, she's partly why Venom is not good, and that's why Hulk is great, is that when Venom's dive you, she can just freeze you, and that is a snowball, no pun intended. That's a snowball of effects for like other things to happen, like, you know, a Mantis could also sleep you right after, you know, you can get double stunned by a lot of different things. She can get the ball rolling on that and burn one of his cooldowns. So it's really her ultimate, and that kind of give her, you know, I think the top 3 spot. She's able to defend herself. Her ultimate is just goated. It's 12 seconds, and it's just so insanely strong. Not only can she heal, but she can also give damage boost, which a lot of players don't know this. You can use her damage boost with other ultimates, and it increases. Like, you can actually destroy a Luna ult with a Luna damage ult. With like tornadoes, Punisher ults, you can eat through her by using your own Luna. So a good little fun tip.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, and the versatility is immense, and I like what you brought up, especially like a lot of like players that are trying to rank up at lower MMRs. They're often getting dove on, whether it's Iron Fist, whether it's Venom, which is very popular Vanguard in those MMR brackets. And yeah, you're able to disrupt his ability to pop his shield, right? And they're trying to get their HP as low as possible, and then you freeze them, and then you pop them, right? So a lot of added versatility there, survivability, tons of heal factor, and I like the self-sustain. Mantis is very similar, right? When you go to ice arts and you're starting to do like the clap damage, you're doing additional damage, you're doing a ton of healing to yourself, your team. You're just extremely versatile.
Really good.
And like you can do a tremendous amount of damage output as well. Relatively straightforward targeting. The projectile obviously doesn't have the travel. So like it's one of those things where like I feel like Luna is an excellent all around. Now I'm going to go off on a limb here and say that I'm assuming that the rest of the ranking is going to be Adam Warlock at 2 and Mantis as being the gold standard. If I'm wrong, let me know. But
Adam Warlock is number 1. No, I'm just checking. Now you got this right.
Okay, so talk about Adam Warlock here. Okay, now we got the top 3. Let's talk about him.
So the reason why Adam, and I'm going to touch up on Luna about this in a second. Adam Warlock just in general is 2 to Mantis. So we're gonna actually talk about the ban system real quick. Mantis tends to get banned a lot in higher tournament play, and when Mantis or Adam is banned, that is when you actually want to bring in your Luna. The thing is Mantis and Luna, they somewhat play similar, but Adam's actually a sub support. He brings a very interesting element to the field. He doesn't necessarily have what you call, he's not a main healer, right? He only really has his 2 heals and his soul bond. The heal aspects, though, his snap, even though they only have 2 cooldowns, they're really there to fill the void and gap for the Mantis or the Luna when you're actually playing. You're not using them preemptively just to use them. You're using them to actually help her with her cooldowns, things like that. You're helping. He is a sub support to the main support as well. His damage output is so incredibly slept on by so many people. He's able to help damage people, and then you don't have to think about the heals. You can just press one button and it gives an insane value of heals to the entire team without you actually having to have a lot of skill with it. It's just more of a choice. On top of that, his soul bond is like a mini ultimate in its own right. A lot of things that people get wrong is they use it because they think that you just want to use it. You can do it and save your team with it. It can withstand a lot of ultimates. You can keep your team alive with it. One of the great uses with it is actually using it when you have long casting ults. Scarlet Witches, Iron Mans, when they do their ult, soul bonding actually keeps them alive. I don't know if you knew this, but it's really good because you can just press it, and if they're within your vicinity, they can do and cast it without having nearly the same kind of consequence. So it's that move itself is really broken. It actually used to be worse, and they buffed it, and I don't know why they did this. The way you used to have to get rid of it was by destroying or KOing Adam Warlock. If you got rid of Adam Warlock, the soul bond would be gone. I don't think that works that way anymore. And the thing is that he now gets to be part of the soul bond, which is insane to me why they even let that happen. But because he's a part of it now, that only makes him better. But yeah, his DPS, and then not to mention, he can revive an entire team. That blows my mind because, it's just so good. And then to top it all off, he gives Mantis the best team up out of any support, and he allows her to revive herself as well as himself. So now you have this element of 2 strategists that, when you KO them, they're able to actually bring themselves back. That's problematic because sometimes people forget. Sometimes, it forces you to like, dang, I have to take this strategist and I have to focus them again using more resources. And it's incredible because they come back with like full health.
It is pretty incredible what Adam Warlock can do as a whole. And I love what you're saying too, because with Adam Warlock, he has the burst healing potential that
Right.
most other healers don't have. And
Right.
Mantis has a little bit of burst, about 55 HP of immediate heal, then the rest is heal over time. And so like sometimes you have to like multi-tap someone to try to keep them alive. But
Right.
when you have an Adam Warlock, you can allow yourself to have that heal over time happening on multiple tanks or whoever has to be healed. And then
Right.
Adam Warlock is then able to kind of fill in those burst gaps and then do
Right.
additional damage as necessary. And I think that's something that both Adam Warlock and Mantis have in common. They're actually both slept on for their damage output. Adam Warlock
Right.
more. I think people are starting to turn on to the fact that like Mantis could out DPS DPSs, right? And her cast animations are so tight that you're able to basically heal and attack and then heal. Like you're almost basically her hands. It looks like she's doing the jive. Like her hands are moving like crazy because she's casting just so fluently the entire time. And I think with Adam, a lot of the skill factor comes from the managing of the cooldowns,
Right.
saving the cooldowns and min-maxing the opportunity for you to be like, okay, I have 2 charges on my primary heal. I'm not just going to slam both because I'm going to need the second one at some critical moment. You're right. The resurrection is huge. I've won multiple games by just timing the resurrection. And also talk about cooldowns. Time your resurrection and also having a healing kind of healing available, right? Resurrect everyone, heal them up, and then roll through the opposing team. Literally have won games live on stream doing exactly that. And so like, I love it. I love it because they're working well in tandem with one another while also bringing unique things to the table. So I agree 100%. I might have personally moved Luna Snow to 2 and Warlock to 3. However, in the most recent championships that we saw, who was one of the supports you saw almost the entire time? It was Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock, and he was one of the most banned heroes on NTMR's roster. And the thing is so Korova plays, I believe, Adam Warlock, and Aramori, she plays Mantis, and when Mantis is banned, she plays Luna. I mean, given that's just kind of like to be expected. But the thing is Adam Warlock. Also, one more little piece of tip with Adam: when you do use your ult, it's not where you actually place the ult, but it's actually where you're walking with Adam. So if you actually walk further into the map, into where your teammate may have, overextended, it will revive him at your respawn pod. People don't know this. So walking forward after you do your ult can still help out. The thing is, though, is that Adam gets banned primarily because also Star-Lord is very good in the current meta. He's a hard hero to use. But he also gets a revive, and it only makes his ult's great. Things like that are great. Adam just adds that element to it being on top, and it's just great. Great.
What makes Mantis number 1 for you? Because I know what makes her number 1 for me. She's the one that I snap pick every given game I can play. I want to play Mantis if I can play her. And if someone else wants to play Mantis, I usually just play Adam Warlock, right?
Yeah.
So what for you makes Mantis number 1?
The reason why I actually have her over Luna, and it's for this 2 reasons purely, is that 1, she can damage and heal without having to actually focus all of the attention on heal. Luna, you have to maintain your aim on people. And when you do that, it's like you're like basically all of your effort is aiming on someone, healing them, aiming on them, healing, and then you can damage, right? With Mantis, you just click a button, they're getting heals over time, and she can go back to doing what she needs to do. Her heal output is really good. Her damage boost is like the biggest enabler. I mean, you could have so many things on your team, and she just makes everyone great. She's like the best synergized strategist all around, because you want to team with a Mantis. Like, if I'm playing Punisher, if I'm playing Star-Lord, if I'm playing any kind of DPS and I'm just getting damage boost, I mean, Black Widow, like she can make Black Widow great, and she's not good right now. You can one tap with Mantis almost with damage boost. I mean, and it lasts for a long time. And she just kind of serves the same purpose as what a lot of strategists do right now. Like she feels like a Luna. She damage boosts like a rocket. She has a Luna ult in the sense, but it's 8 seconds instead of 12, but she keeps everyone alive. It's just in general, she has a fantastic team up. I mean, think about it like this. Loki's team up is not great, right? Like it's like he gets revived. That's super like And that's if your Hela hits the last shot. Mantis can just freely pick and choose where she wants to revive herself, or even not even revive herself and use the cooldown in general. So like there's a lot of things at play that she's just able to help contribute to the damage. Like there's so many elements to why she's so fantastic.
And again, I mentioned it prior, but no damage drop off on her primary attack, which allows you to very confidently attack from the back lines and do sustained notable damage. Like you will, like all the time, I'll see like not Bruce Banner, sorry. You'll see Hulks running around. They'll be trying to get to you and you're just clicking him. His health is dropping pretty fast as he's making his way towards you because there's no damage drop off. Right? Yeah. Not only that, you pop your ultimate, and people often compare like Luna Snow's ultimate to Mantis, and they are very similar. However, with Mantis, you can ultimate and then damage boost everyone around you and continue to attack. Whereas Luna Snow is like dancing, right? She's doing like she's just dancing around. You are actively still participating in the fight, right?
Yeah.
So I just love it.
Yeah, so that's another thing I actually want to talk about real quick is that with Luna Snow, she damage boosts the whole team, but she's stuck in that. And there's an argument to be made like, oh, well, she's 12 seconds, but she can't attack. But realistically, I would still much rather take a Mantis on my team because like you can attack and still damage boost your teammate while you're still keeping them alive. So it's like, sure, you give up 4 seconds, but you're virtually getting more value. Here's the other thing about Mantis that makes her kind of busted. It's her sleep. Her sleep is so incredibly easy to use, and it's so incredibly good. I mean, it's actually harder to unfreeze someone in that than it is to stop someone. If you freeze someone with Luna, it's actually harder to hit because you have to directly hit them. With her, you just throw it on the ground and it has an AoE and it puts people to sleep. Your teammates can actually shoot the mini Mantis on your back, by the way, if you get slept. People don't know this. If you see your teammates getting slept by a Mantis, shoot the back. You can wake them up, and people don't know that. But in general, she just has the kit that you want. Like, she just has everything that Luna does, but easier.
Yeah, there's no question that if you want to, like, rank up, you want to have, like, an extremely positive impact on your team as a whole, the Mantis is the hero for you. Now, this is awesome. Also, this went way longer than expected, but it was a fantastic conversation. Here's the rankings, the official, undisputed rankings for the best strategists in Marvel Rivals. And you know what, Chaos, I'm going to throw one last question out to you. Which is the placement do you think people in the comments are going to beef with the most? Get ahead of it.
Oh, that's easily going to be the Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, for sure. Cloak and Dagger, 100%.
It's Cloak and Dagger. People are going to be so like, how? And it's an argument to be made, but yeah.
I would imagine that most people would tilt less if we did this. This would probably reduce some stress for people. So maybe we'll end the video like that.
I'll be free on that. No, you could do that.
No.
That's me.
We
being
had
biased.
The official ranking already. We got to leave it as it is. We're just getting ahead of the comments there. But with that being said, guys, let us know how you guys rank down below as well. And as I said prior, definitely check out Chaos Pro. Phenomenal content creator, phenomenal player, an absolutely remarkable, person as well. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you on that next one.